and after reading Justin's PowerPoint last night, the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, did come out with just yesterday the guidelines on forgiveness. As you deal with the community, a lot of people may think that they've missed out on the program. Now, the program is good through August 8th currently. We still have roughly 120 billion left in the PPP program to lend. Congress will be voting to see what they do with those funds or what they appropriate. But currently, under the rules and guidance that we have, the program will start accepting forgiveness applications August 10th. Now, if you haven't got a program, we'll go to the next slide here. A lot of people ask, or we get a lot of calls in from small business owners out there, is the fact of what is the terms and what is the loan? What am I going to get charged and all that? And I basically just wanted to tell you real quick that the SBA backs these loans with 100% guarantee, which help all cap when they go to PNC Bank, they're sitting there lending to SBA, they got 100% guarantee standing behind the loans. If something happens, in other words, we will pay for the loan. Now that 100% guarantee, I know there's a lot of misinformation out there on social media, and I'm sure Justin can testify to a lot of it too, is the guarantee, if something happens and you do something wrong with the loan, that doesn't pay the loan off for you, that pays the lender. And so you'd still owe the money. But the PPP loan has got some, like I said in the beginning, Justin, I think you might have missed part of it, is, the PPP loan got some bad press out there. And as Justin just ran through his numbers, I think they've been doing loans now, about 4 weeks or so, is Don and Carmen and all got signed up. Yep. That's phenomenal. And it shows that there are people out there who still need this money. And guys, the program is a great program. It's set up to help the small businesses. And that being said, the terms are going to be the max you'd have to do if you don't get it forgiven be 60 months. And that's going to be based, it's going to be based off 8 or 24 week period. We have both because when it first started out, we only had an 8-week period. And with the Flex Act, they increased that to 24 weeks. Some of the key things to it is there is no upfront guarantee fee. They shouldn't have to, your borrowers, your small business owners, your entrepreneurs, they have no fees associated with applying for this loan. There is no collateral requirements. So there's no personal guarantees. They don't have to worry about, somebody coming in and taking their house or something if they go get this. And I want to point out it's a 1% interest rate. And so when you're talking to people and when small business owners are looking at this, 1% money, that's a 1% APR is what most people are used to seeing. You see the 2.9% interest and it says APR 3.75. Our interest rate's a simple interest, so it's just 1%. That's it. There's no other hidden anything like that on it. And this program is run through like all cap banks and stuff because that's who's doing it. We don't have the manpower. Anybody that knows about the SBA, we're the smallest agency within the government that has a cabinet member sitting on the cabinet. We only have about 3,000 people. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over. I just want to point out a few things like that, and because there's a lot of people out there scared or heard misinformation about how the PP will come take your house and all that. There is no collateral requirement. There is no personal guarantee. So there's nobody going to show up at your front door and take it. But then the interest rate is 1%. So, Justin, I'll let you finish it up, buddy.
Sure. Thank you. So, one thing that you did say that I think is really important to point out is outside of the miscommunication or the misunderstandings with the program, I think that there's also some misunderstanding when it comes to putting together the actual application packet documents that it takes. One of the most important pieces of that actually putting together your calculation of your payroll numbers from the times that are allowed through that. So understanding that coming to this program and understanding the overall importance of technical assistance and being able to provide some of that extra help to get folks to the end goal and what they're needing, which oftentimes is the reason why folks in the community aren't able to get the access to the capital, we wanted to be sure to be as intentional about trying to provide these loans to the community with trying to provide them the help to actually just get their package together. So what we did was put together a PPP technical assistance team, one that Marquita is a part of, to help business owners put together their package and their calculation in an easy way for them. So we'll be paying for the first hour of time with all of the CPAs that are part of this team. And with that, I'll pass it over to Marquita, who could go into more detail into what that process looks like and some of her work with the entrepreneurs in the community.
All right, wonderful. Well, this is where I call the rubber meets the road, because the reason, as Michael made mention of the, $120 billion that's on the table, and the numbers that's been thrown out, is a lot of times those numbers are on the table because people are not clear of how to access, or they sometimes don't have paperwork together. So what I love about the All-Cap program is that they've really made this easy to remove the excuse of I'm not sure, of fear, of the unknown, by allowing you to work with someone to help you to get it. So I'm going to call this my top 5 to help you get this information. So number 1, it's important when you think about this and for you to take it when you're going to take advantage of this. And if you're a business owner and you do not want to assume that you cannot take access. You want to make contact and at least get told that you don't qualify, but never make the assumption. So number 1 is you want to start with understanding what is your legal structure. And so what I've seen come into play with that is that some individuals will think, oh, I've got to be an LLC or I've got to be a corporation. You can be, if you do not have your legal structure and you're doing business in your personal name, you still qualify. And that's something that is a myth that's been put out there, that you have to have a structure. That is not correct. If you are doing, I service a lot of solopreneurs and micro entrepreneurs that, let's say, for example, they're just using I had a caregiver last night that I was working with till about 8 o'clock last night. She does this in her personal name, in her personal social security number. She still qualifies. So now, if you do have a legal structure, then it's important to find out, number 1, what is the legal structure? Because a lot of times some people do it themselves. So do you have an LLC, a corporation? And if you're an LLC, the next thing that I see come up is that people don't understand their taxation structure. So it's important to look to see for 2019, have you filed a tax return? Because we realize that you're in the business of doing the business, but sometimes you may not understand your business model. So do you, number 1, did you file a 2019 return? If so, look to see what return you filed from that standpoint. But if you're confused, that is why we're here. The technicians are going to help you sort through that. So that legal structure is number 1, okay? Number 2 is the tax return of my top 5. So the tax return, if you have filed a return, that's going to lead us to helping you determine, does that connect with your structure? That's going to be where we're going to look for qualifying information. That's going to ultimately say how much you qualify for. Now, here's another thing that's come up. Some people have said, I didn't file a return for 18. I know I have a return responsibility. You can still apply for this. And so I'm also now, before about a couple of weeks ago, if you hadn't filed your 19 return, that was okay, right? Now the July 15th was the tax deadline. So you had a responsibility to file a return or at minimum file extension. So if you haven't filed, I cannot tell you the number of people that I've met with in the last couple of weeks that didn't have 19s that now have their 19 tax return done. So it is important because that's where your numbers are going to show what you qualify for. So if you haven't filed it, you haven't filed 18, or if you owe the IRS, I get that a ton. I filed, but I owe for 16. I'm on a payment arrangement. That does not impact this. Do not stop. Keep moving forward, okay? My third one on my top 5 is called the matching. And this is where the information is really detailed out, that All-Cap list is out of what they want from that standpoint. And so, but I'm here to help you with that. The technicians are here to help you. What we're going to look for is what you say your legal structure is. Does the tax return match with that? Meaning the EIN numbers, the names, and guess what? And even I've had someone who had a legal structure of one thing, a tax return that said something different, and EIN didn't even match that. We were able to work with that individual. They had to go back and amend their return, but guess what? They still got through it. And the wonderful thing in the midst of this is you're applying for this, but you're also getting educated about the business matters of your business. So that young lady who ran into that bump, she was a beautician. She was able to amend her return, get her legal structure up to date, and that helped her in the longevity of her business as well as getting funding. So matching is important because you want everything to say, if you say you're an LLC and you're taxable as a sole proprietor, then everything should go that way. And if you're not, then you want to know that and not operate for 3 years wrong. And so you're going to find that out in the process. So it's not, do not be intimidated. The technician's roles are to help you understand it and help you get through it. And then my fourth item is qualifying. That is show me the money. How much money am I getting? We will tell you that so that you'll understand from your tax return. If it's your a lot of people are Schedule C filers. And so we look at that line 31, that's the bottom line. So something that comes up a lot of times is because in business, a lot of times people want to make profit until it's time for taxes. And then they want to write up all this stuff and they have a loss. And so people have said, I have a loss on my tax return. Am I going to qualify? And unfortunately, that is a no when it comes to if you are a sole proprietor and didn't have payroll for yourself. That's typically a no. But don't make the assumption. Send it in. Let us help you. Let us guide you with it. But if there's a profit, you may qualify. Hey, if it's $4,500, that's $4,500 more that you have to use towards payroll, towards rent, utilities to keep your business going during this time of transition. So that's my top 4. We're going to show you what you qualify for. And then that leads me to my number 5, which is my favorite because I'm an accountant. That is the accounting of it all. It is so very important there's qualifications for it to be forgiven. On the front end, getting the money. I call it the easy part, getting it. The second part of the process is forgiveness. I love how Michael called it the triple P. I think I'm going to take that, Michael. What makes the triple P so powerful is that it can be forgiven. This essentially is free money. Free is everyone's favorite, right? For in most cases. So if you just follow the guidelines though, so there's 60% that has to go if you're a sole proprietor, 60% that goes to your payroll. So the accounting side of your business, the wonderful thing is through doing the PPP process with AllCap, you get technicians that help to train you for the after part so you can account for it. Because you've got to be able to show, how did you use the 60%? Was it for payroll? Because there's a minimum of 60% going for payroll. And then the 40% can go for rent, that's commercial rent. That's commercial utilities, because it could be rent or utilities, and those are commercial. And then if you have, let's say, for example, you own a building, then 40% can go towards the mortgage interest on the building. So one thing that I have that comes up a lot is that small business owners or micro business owners will say, well, I got the payroll, but, I have a home office in my home, so I don't have commercial rent. I don't have commercial utilities. Well, right now, like Michael made mention, there's a lot of things changing. There's something out right now where they're trying to do a blanket loan forgiveness. Nothing's been approved, but I say don't keep moving forward. This process went from 8 weeks to 24 weeks to as it's going. So, and once you get the funds, if that blanket approval happens, you'll be fine. But let's just say based upon the rules we know right now, okay, maybe 60% is able to be written off of it, be forgiven. And the 40%, if you use it for something different because you don't have that, maybe a small loan. But still, here's the kicker. 1% interest rate. When's the last time you got a 1% interest rate loan anywhere? So that's still not a bad deal. But obviously 100% of forgiveness is better than anything. And so, but I can tell you there's still a lot of turning in the program. And if any of those are successful where there's a blanket forgiveness, then that's going to benefit you. So that's my top 5 right here with you to keep you moving forward and take advantage of the triple PPP. I'm liking that, Michael. I'm still in that.
Yeah, I think I might be using that as well, Michael. I really like that.
Y'all can have it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go on vacation. Y'all take care of it. I'm out of here. Yeah.
Oh, now wait a minute, Michael.
Yeah, I'm leaving. Yeah, I like it too. And another one we use is we're building an airplane while we're flying it. But I do want to mention one thing too, because we hear the same stuff about I can live out of my house or whatever.
Yes, sir.
And you as an accountant can attest to this. By us going 24 weeks on a sole prop, they can use all the fund for wages.
Gotcha. Yes. Okay. That's awesome. See, so if you can
therefore,
use 100% for wages, then look at that. Then that's going to be beneficial.
Yeah, and it can be for any business. Since they opened it up 24 weeks, that's what we're finding a lot on the backside. A lot of people, they use 100%. The 60 is a minimum.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
That'll help out some people, but yeah. I think that's great, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I do want to reiterate the fact that individuals out there and people who deal with small business owners, it's absolutely correct. This is a way for you to get some people that's really, really just, they're working out of their house, they're out of their garage, they're doing Schedule Cs like you talked about. It's a way for them to get to know about how to do financing. And Justin and them at All Cap will be able to help them. Maybe after this PP, they might want to expand, or they might want to, buy more inventory. And it's going to be a way for them to get into the game. And as you said, it's free money if it's forgiven. Worst case scenario, it's 1%. And I mean, like you say, 5-year loan, that's not bad. That's not
Right.
bad. They just giving you cash. So I do strongly recommend that to anybody that's especially really new. They have to been in business at least, have their tax returns or some other form of documentation showing they were in business. I won't get into the weeds on that, but it's a great opportunity for them to learn about business and your accounting. There's a lot of people getting business, and that's one of their downfalls. They start doing their own accounting. Next thing they know, their money's all commingled together and they don't know what's going on. So I think it's a great opportunity for them to learn about it. And we have a little time on our hands nowadays, so it makes it easier to do some research. So I'll turn it back over to y'all. Any questions or anything like that, I'll be glad to answer.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. Thank you, Marquita, for that. The technical assistance team has been amazing in helping all of the businesses who came to us because one, with this being a federal product, a lot of the onus falls back on the business owner themselves. We want to make sure that if any of that confusion up front can be clarified really quickly, really easily, hopefully within that hour of work and sitting down or getting on the phone with any of the people who are on the CPA technical assistance team. So I just want to say, I want to, one, thank you guys for being a part of this conversation, but two, ask anybody who is interested, please reach out to myself. Feel free to reach out to Marquita, and we will make sure that we can get you going on the process and moving closer and closer to getting that approval through the SBA for this, the PPP program. So I'll leave my contact information. I'm sure Marquita will share hers as well, and I'll share the presentation if there's anything here that could help answer any questions. But if there's any questions now, please feel free to ask them. We'd love to answer them while we have the time.
Justin, if you could just reiterate the deadline for applying for PPP or EIDL funds, if you could just share that one more time.
Sure. So the SBA's deadline for getting applications processed is August 8th. For us internally, we have a deadline of August 5th, Wednesday, August 5th, to get all applications in. That way it gives us enough time to make sure that folks are processed and approved. And if there are anyone, like Marquita's mentioned, there's been situations where maybe there's some things through documentation that aren't in place to go through the SBA's portal. It gives us some more days to work with those folks a little bit closer to make sure that we can get them either pushed through and approved, or let them know that we weren't able to make that happen for them. So August 5th would be that deadline.
Gotcha. And then, for AltCap, you actually service a particular region. Can you talk about the area that you serve?
Yes. So for us, AltCap, we service a 7-county region here in the Kansas City area. Platte, Clay, Cass, and Jackson County on the Missouri side, and on the Kansas side, Wyandotte County, Leavenworth County, and Johnson County. Now, we can also help businesses that are about an hour and a half outside of that radius. So if your business falls a little bit outside of that area, still feel free to reach out, and we'll see if we can help out.
Awesome. And then, Michael, we know that AltCap is just one of the lenders, but can you talk about or briefly mention how many vast lenders are out there for the PPP and EIDL program?
Well, there's only AltCap. That's the only people we know of. So no, I'm just kidding. Guys, we we signed up everybody that, whether they were SBA lenders before or not, which All Cap's always been a participation with us, and we've been a partnership for several years now. And since I've been here in Kansas City, I've enjoyed the relationship. They are the only basic microloan lender who's over in Kansas that's actively proceeding with the PPP program. Other community banks and stuff, but I would say in the Missouri side, we probably have in excess of 500 lenders. And on the Kansas side, we're really close to about 430, 440 lenders in the Kansas City district. Now, when I say Kansas City district too, maybe I should have said a little bit of this. I'm basically, if you take the maps, the state maps, and look at Missouri and you draw your line north and south by Columbia, I take all the west side of Missouri. And you come over to Kansas and pretty much from Manhattan down, which I take the east side. So I have like Topeka, Lawrence, and all that. So that's where we get our 89 counties. So in that area, I probably got close to, I'm going to go out on a limb, say close to 900 lenders who are participating in it. I know that there's some very small community banks out in community areas or rural areas who have stopped because they've run out of money. Due to the Dodd-Frank bill, they have to have their liquidity, and they can't just keep lending money. And like Justin was talking about, going back getting a line of credit. So they're going to be still in the game. Some of your smaller banks have already stopped even accepting applications. I would like to take the opportunity too, and I'm not throwing and casting any stones, but I've had numerous calls about people who went to large banks because they thought that was the best way to go. And they get into that pipeline and nothing happens, and they can't talk to nobody. And when you're dealing with a local bank or a local lender like All Cap, I'm quite sure the technical team over there that he talks about, and I know most of the team members, Don and all them, you talk to them. You can pick up the phone and call Justin and talk to him. When you apply at, world's biggest bank, they don't care. They got, hundreds of thousands of applications running through a week. So they don't really pay attention to you. So I'd strongly suggest to start out with either the bank you bank with. If you don't, go to All Cap. And even if you do bank at a bank, I think All Cap gives you services because of what Justin was talking about is they're able to help you even build your credit. They can help you with, moving forward, like I said, taking the next step. So I would definitely suggest this far into the program, I'd suggest staying local because we've had, and I'm talking not just one or two, I'm talking hundreds to 1,000 people in my district, which we already defined, have been calling my office saying they can't get any response from people. And it makes it very frustrating on them, and they're still waiting on their money. So I would strongly suggest that you stay local.
That's a good point, and something that I saw come up even with individuals who had previously applied and hadn't heard anything. And so, and I've had some of those people we brought through All Cap, and they were like, I think I'm in process, but I'm like, have you signed a loan doc? No, I call the person hasn't even submitted it through the pipeline. We took their information, input it, All Cap got it done. So I wanted to point that out. Until you sign a loan document, you're not in that program, and so you can go with another provider. If you've been told no, someone's told you no, but you didn't sign a loan doc, that may have been screening and misunderstanding of your structure. I had someone just yesterday, and they thought that they were an S corporation, and they're not an S corporation. So they were told no because they asked them for their payroll, but they were a sole proprietor. So if you've been told no, you've gotten bad information, assume it's bad information and reach out and make contact. Now, Michael, a question I have for you, I get people that I wish I had All Cap in every state that, because we service a lot of clients outside of Kansas City, and I had someone just in Texas that their bank has already stopped funding. What do you suggest for individuals if if they're outside of All Cap, because All Cap is number one first, but if they're outside of the area and cannot do that, and their bank has stopped funding, how can individuals locate a provider that can assist them in their area?
Very good question. Very good question. And also, there is no borders on the PPP program. So I'll throw that out there for Justin. And they may think about that. They may pick up a little more business, but they're not defined by their borders they're working on. That's the reason that a bank in California can do loans here in Kansas and Missouri stuff is because there's no borders. But if you have an individual who's went to their local bank, the Mike McWhorter Bank and Trust, and we go, no, we're not going to do it. We've stopped doing it. The best thing to do is go to a regional bank next. You're not going to get the quality of service you get with a small lender, but you're going to get better service than you will with a national brand. There's also some agencies, good, better, and different, that are also online, and they can apply online with some of the, I think they call them FinCap stuff or something like that, financial things that don't have brick and mortar. So there's some of those out there to do it. But I would look at that, and you know, and like I said, you might reach out and find a relationship with somebody in the area that's willing to do loans in Texas. It definitely won't be the first time we've had banks in Kansas or Missouri doing loans in other places. We've done that. And I want to reiterate too what you said there, because you're exactly on point. A lot of these banks, the loans were too small at the beginning, and they told the people they were declined by SBA. We get a phone call. I talked to Bank XYZ. They said, y'all declined me. Why? And I pull up in the system, and it never was put in the system. So, you know, that's a thing that really we probably need to be preaching a lot on, is the fact that even if you got declined, come to us, give us the opportunity to work with you and see if we can get you done. Because so many of those people applied at a big national bank, and I'm there, you know, money's money and money's important to you. And they were sitting there looking at all these hundreds of thousand applications. They started cutting, you know, the cherry picking, I guess is what we call it. But they just sent out and told people, oh, you're declined, SBA declined you. And they never even put the loan in what we call E-Trans, which I'm sure Justin's up on too. They never even put the loan in. And to address your fact too, even if the other lender has put the loan in and is dragging their feet about it, if Justin and them, y'all work with them and they get it and they process it and it shows it's over, we can be a mediator for them to get them to cancel the loan as long as they haven't funded it. That's the drop dead. You're right. Sign the documents, but once they fund it, it's drop dead. We can't do anything.
That's good to know.
Awesome. I've shared a CDFI locator link in the chat for those who may need that information. One thing about the Denver MBDA, we're the host of this particular event, but we cover a 4-state region. And so that includes Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, and of course, Colorado. And so we do have CDFI partners there and have had SBA affiliates or what have you on other programs. Justin, I didn't want to cut you off there. I think you were getting ready to jump in.
Oh, all right. Yeah, no, it was just two things I wanted to say. One, to that point that you just made, building a relationship with the CDFI in your area would be really important as a business owner. There's a lot that CDFIs can offer business owners that the bank might not be able to from a relational standpoint, as well as getting you connected to some of the other resources throughout your city. But whether it's your CDFI or your bank, that relationship with your lender is going to be really pivotal. And I think in times like this, with this PPP program, when we talk back to some of the larger banks who were able to cherry pick or hand pick these things, that type of situation is one that especially our community has to deal with too many times. And that also lends itself into why some folks might not have been able to receive the funding. Whereas that relationship with your CDFI, to Michael's point earlier, we are just closer to the community. We're able to be a little bit more flexible. Teams and CDFIs might be a little bit smaller, but the focus is always on the community and trying to build that relationship and have those conversations to see what your pain points are and how we could help. Also, back to the PPP program, what I want to say is that due to the folks like Marquita, this has been a very quick process. If we can get you with a CPA and work through the packet and get everything together, don't be intimidated by the idea that it might take a while to get this done. There's folks maybe in a couple of days, if we can get that initial conversation and get the ball rolling through the E-Tran processing system through the SBA, it only takes a few minutes for us to get it through. Things just have to clearly match up with your calculation, demographic information, and your EIN from your business. So don't hesitate. Like Marquita said earlier, if you even have the slightest thought that you want to apply, let's see if we can get that figured out for you.
There's a question here from Fran. She had an assisted living facility And she said she's been able to apply for both loan and nothing is given. I am a minority woman and small business owner, so what am I going to do? I'm about to lose everything I worked hard for. I need help. And her question is a little bit more, she gives a little bit more background. What I would suggest, Fran, is that if we could reach out to you after this call, maybe to learn a few more details. I see Justin and Marquita shaking their head. We can't see Michael, but I know he will be a resource as well. We also have Stella Marimbe. She's the business consultant for the Denver MBDA. So I think between the 4 or 5 of us that maybe we can reach out individually or even have a conference call just to hear your story at one time so that you're not having to repeat it over and over. And then we can figure out what resources we have that make the most sense to help your situation. I think there may be a way to assist you or whatnot based on the information that you provided. It looks like you would qualify because you had employees. You were in business in 2019, and I think that's one of the requirements, if I'm not mistaken. So, with that said, I want to reach to Marquita. I want to ask you a question because you're a small business owner, you're a minority business owner, you're a woman business owner, and you've been in business for a number of years. And we know that you have worked with a number of small business owners, minority business owners, women business owners, but oftentimes there is just a fear of going through these various processes to get help. What is it that you can say to not just the folks who are on this call, but the folks who will listen to this webinar afterwards that will inspire them to take advantage of this potentially once in a lifetime opportunity for free money?
Well, that's great. Thank you for that question, because I definitely am very passionate about this topic that you're talking about. I can say, as you see me, I'm an African American woman. Marvin has ran that down. That there's a lot of conversations that have taken place in this country over the years. I've sat with business owners that have dreams and aspirations, and they need funding. Well, I can tell you, today is your day. This is the moment. I mean, I've seen so many business owners, I'm not exaggerating, walk away with $150,000 loans, $200,000 loans that they would not, in some even grants. I have one person who qualified for $214,000 in PPP in triple P dollars. That's going to be forgiven. Their bank's already looked at it and said it's provisional forgiven. So this is the time to really look at your business. One, sometimes when change happens, it can be uncomfortable, but I'll say this, it can also pivot you to the next level. If you really will surround, there's a lot of resources that are available that have never been before. I'm sure Michael can attest to, if someone outside of COVID was applying for SBA, I don't think you'd be getting it in 24 hours to 48 hours in your checking account. There's a little bit more involved. But now, literally, it's that streamline. I helped the church apply on Monday, and they had the funds in their account on Tuesday. Wow. Monday, Tuesday. So take advantage. If not, I mean, definitely the resources, especially the financial resources, but also from the standpoint, there are a lot of technical resources that you can have and connections. I mean, just being able to have access to Justin is one of the most humble individuals, but I'm telling you, he has a host of information. He sits with business owners on a daily basis from the standpoint, but he has insight that can help you. Marvin, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin, but just this opportunity that's even afforded here, and then having Michael on it is so rich of connections for you to be able to reach out and connect with people and get your answers. Like Fran, I have no question. Fran's been frustrated probably for a period of time, maybe months. Fran's going to have some resources today. Do you understand? She's going to know today what, if there's an issue, what the issue is. See, I'm all about, don't tell me no, tell me why it's a no. And that's what's happening right now. And Fran's going to know that today because of this call. And this only came about because of what's happening. So don't be afraid of the change. Use this to really pivot your business forward. Take advantage of the knowledge set, the resources that are out there, the financial resources, and move forward. Get a plan. Really look at your business very closely, and I say stare at it a little bit and say, what do I need to do to make myself resilient and effective? And do not back away. Run faster at this time. So, you know, this, I could go on with this, so I'm going to stop. But I'm telling you, this is the moment for minority entrepreneurs, hands down, period. Do not back up on this. We've been so busy I hear all these people talking about they've been at home in quarantine and they've got all this free time to read books. Well, let me tell you, we've never stopped. We've been here probably more times to 2 and 3 in the morning because we've been committed to helping business owners move forward during this time. So I'm going to tell you, do not delay. I have something that Marvin knows that I always say, do not make excuses. No more excuses. If you miss this opportunity, it's just because you're not executing. You can, and even without getting funding, you can get resources. So I'm telling you, don't delay, take action, follow through, and move forward.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, listen, we don't want to belabor the hour. Fran, we definitely going to reach out to you right after this call. If it's okay, if we can kind of reconvene, Michael, if you're available as well, if we can reconvene, and Tracy Tyler's our administrative coordinator, if she can connect us with a meeting link afterwards. Stella, can you please drop your email address in the chat box? We want to make sure that people are able to get a hold of you. Again, the services offered by the CARES Assistance Program are free services. So again, that magic word, free.
There it is.
You got to take advantage of that. Again, with Stella, and she's in our Denver office, but she helps our clients all across the country. We took in our first client actually out of Atlanta, Georgia, earlier this week. That we took in, and we're helping her with her business processes and guiding her to even greater success. So Stella, if you can drop your email in the chat box here, that would be awesome. Justin, I want to thank you as always. I give my, round of applause to all the folks over there at AltCap who do an amazing job in our community. You know, he talked a little bit about the new market tax credits. I know firsthand how they helped a school expand by the issuing of those new market tax credits. It was one of our local charter schools that we're pretty proud of. Michael McWhorter, again, was very instrumental in helping us get our MOU agreement between the Mountain Plains Minority Supplier Development Council so that we could bring more resources to MBEs. And so we definitely appreciate him and all that he does. And then my friend and sister, Marquita Miller, who actually, I didn't suggest you this time. Justin suggested that we invite you. I try to wait to use my ask for Marquita, Justin. So so I really need. Yeah, so that one doesn't count, but Marquita's well known, many connections. So Fran, we're coming to help you now. And for all those who are a part of this call and that will hear this webinar, we want you to make sure that you take advantage of these fine resources and these just phenomenal resource partners. Thank you all so much for your time today, and we'll reconvene in just a bit.
All right.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.